Okay, so now we have our fire started and we're going to be making up some tea today. I'll show you how to do that when you're out in the woods, when you're running light. Let's talk about some footwear right now. The puck-toe moccasin that you see me wearing right now is pretty good in the summertime and the early fall. But as we start getting into the winter time, they're just not going to be conducive to colder weather. So what I've gone ahead and I've started is a project that is making some winter shoe packs. As we were talking about, the puck-toe moccasin is not going to be very conducive to using it in the colder weather. You know, you could use them, but you're probably going to wind up having frostbite. So one of the things that you can do is you can make a pair of puck-toes, okay, with a winter liner, using a blanket material such as this. And then that way you can have an extra layer on your feet, and they'll be good. What I actually elected to do was I created a pair of shoe packs, or Fort Ligonier boots. And what they did is they took the best of both worlds, like we discussed in the 18th century wear, is that they have a center seam that runs, you know, from the toe and straight up. But what it has on the bottom is it actually has a sole that has been sewn to the sides. Okay, the sole is replaceable or repairable in that respect. And once they have gone beyond the point of no return and you can't repair them anymore, you would actually just cut these stitches and effect a new bottom, and then you could stitch them right on and you're good to go. The other thing that this allows you to do is you can add multiple layers of that sole to raise your foot up off the ground. Now I'm using elk in this and I only put one layer, but I do have multiple layers of wool that's on the inside of the liner. To start off making these, what you're going to do is you're going to trace your foot, as you can see here. Okay, don't cut it on the line that you've actually traced. Come out about 1/4 of an inch. If you want some more room in there, add, you know, make it 1/2 inch. All right, and then that way you could put some bulkier socks in there, or you could add multiple layers again of wool on the inside. I've taken 2 of the liners, or 2 of the soles actually, and I sewed them together, and you can see that here. All right, that's to keep it together for when you take the uppers and you sew them on. Now when you make your uppers, what you're going to wind up doing is, and I'll show you here, you're going to cut rectangles, and these rectangles are basically going to go from the center of the sole all the way around to the back center by your heel, and you're going to sew them. You're going to sew up the back seam from here, and then you're going to come to the highest point of your foot, and you're going to put the 2 sides together, and then what I do is I work from that point down to the toe, and you'll see that as we construct the second shoe pack. Right now we've got our fire going. It's going pretty good. So we got some water in our boiler here, and we'll start to make up some tea. I'm just gonna let it sit right here and just slowly come to a boil. What I have here is my sole, and I actually did put a tick mark up on top and one here at the heel, and that's so I know where the center of my foot actually is, as opposed to using the big toe. The big toe is not the center of the foot. It's actually between the big toe and I guess your pointer toe, if you want to call it that. So that would be your pointer finger. It would be between that, and it goes straight out the top of your foot. To get the measurement of the rectangle that you're going to cut, it's very simply done by rolling the sole from point A to point B, and that'll give you your length. just remember to add about 1 inch to 1.5 inches for give and for the actual molding of your feet. I'll show you that now. So like I said, if I was actually doing this, what you're going to do is from end to end, you're going to take one side, remembering that the other side may not be as long, okay? And then you're just going to roll this around to that point. And that would be that point right there. Again, I gave myself about 2 inches actually of extra material so that I know that I can have enough for any adjustments that may need to be made. One of the things that you see me carrying as of late is this market wallet. And the market wallet is a very simple item that you can make out of some linen, some canvas, anything that you like actually that can suffice. It can hold up some beat up and some wear. All it is a tube essentially that has been sewn on both ends. Okay, then in the middle, all right, you come down 1/3 of the way and leave 1/3 of the way open, and then your last third you're going to sew up. This way it basically gives you 2 pockets on either side. Okay, you could say there was the forerunner to the saddlebag, or you can actually put it on a dog, and he can carry around some stuff for you. But anyway, what I like about it so much is the fact that if I'm just foraging, right, I don't have to worry about a haversack. If I have my shooting bag, my horn, and my weapon, I can use a small blanket roll, which is what I have out here today, along with the larger one, which is just a blanket tied up with a tump line. You know, I have an extra shirt, you know, a few extra items inside there, and I'm good to go. It's good for a nice little day. This is actually about 43 inches long and about 16 inches wide. And it's very easy to make, and you can do them at home yourself. You can look them up and you can see them. Right? So that's the market wallet. One of the nicer things to use instead of a haversack that's always on your side. I can pick it up, sling it over my shoulder, and away I go. Here's a little bit better shot of the shoe pack for you. As you can see, it's just sewn at the heel in the back there. Okay, and then here's your toe, and there's your sole. And they'll be held on by using a leather thong that'll go around and it'll wrap twice, and then you can tie it off in the front. So, but let's get sewing on the other one. What I like to do is I'll find the tick mark at the heel, all right, and I will come about 1/4 of an inch past it. And my first stitch, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it right next to the tick mark. This enables me that I can marry up the other side, and then I can tie those off, and it'll make a nice solid seam. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start doing that. These are not a piece of footwear that you're going to pop out in 20 minutes. If you get pretty good at making puck toes, you can actually knock those out in about a half an hour, actually. Now I'll turn this over, and we're just going to basically follow the sole. I'm making my stitches roughly about a 1/4 of an inch in length and about a 1/4 of an inch in from the edge. And we'll continue all the way around. Try to keep the edges as close as possible. Okay, you can trim off some if you need to later to dress it up nice. One of the reasons why the stitching lasts so long on these is because you're not actually walking on the stitch. It's out to the side. So that makes it last a little bit longer. So I have my ration of tea here, and there were many types of different teas that were brought over and sold to the traders for purchase in the middle colonies and the woodsmen and their families in the forts. There was black tea, which was known as a Bahia tea, which was actually very prized, being that it was very good. It was a high quality tea. And then they had green teas, and there was just a whole host of different teas that were brought here. Today I have some black tea, and we're going to make up some. And what we've done is we've taken, our bucket, and we have the water that's, pretty much boiling at this time. It was said at one time that you would take a serving or a ration for each individual that was drinking the pot of tea, and then you throw one into the pot for the pot. Again, this boils down to personal preference and personal taste. I try to eyeball it as much as what would be in a normal tea bag, and then we steep it, and then we're going to pour it into our cup. Now, we didn't have the luxury of having tea bags per se, but they did have tea baskets, and they also had tea balls in which you would put the tea into those containers, and then you would infuse your tea, or it would steep in the pot in that respect, and then you didn't have to worry about any of the grounds actually getting into your cup. When we're traveling lightly, we don't have that luxury. So what I've done is I've taken a piece of linen that I keep with me all the time, and we're going to drape it over the cup, and then we'll pour the water into the cup after it's done steeping. Oh yeah, that's plenty fun. Yeah, that's okay. Take this off. There's one ration. And there's two. One for the pot there. So we'll let that steep up right now. Alright, as you can see, it's pretty much done steeping. And what we're going to do is, here's our linen that we lined our cup with, and that's going to be our strainer. And now, I'm just going to pour it in. Okay, leave a little bit in the pot for a little bit later. As you can see, we filtered out our grounds. There you go. And now we have a nice hot cup of tea. Pretty good. I carry muscovado sugar. If I wanted to sweeten it up, I can put some of that in there.